Hi, my name is John Curry, and this is the Genesee Community College Learning Center workshop on time management for college students. Today, we're going to talk about basic time management tips for college students. And basically, for a minute, we're going to talk about committing to your goals and your motivation. And then we're going to talk about various schedules you can use to make your semester and your weekly study schedules a lot more consistent and useful for improving your grades. So one of the things about time management that's important is that action requires motivation. So you're here at a college, Genesee Community College. You have a semester in which you want to achieve good grades, and then you have 4 semesters or your time at GCC in which you want to achieve your college degree. So part of this is that you have internal motivation. You have your own personal desire to accomplish this goal of achieving good grades in the semester and then achieving a degree. You'll get a feeling of success. So these are internal reasons why you want to take this action of being at college. And of course, eventually you want to get a degree so that you can work in a field that you enjoy, internal motivations. You also have external motivations. Part of those motivations are cost of your education. You or someone you know is helping you pay for this education. There's a cost involved, so you'll want to succeed. We give you a class schedule, like your work. If you're working, you have a schedule where you have to show up on time each day at a certain place at a certain time. And that's an external motivator that keeps you moving towards completing the task. You also have commitment from your community. And I'm going to use this term, your community, a couple times in this workshop. And these are the people who support you, your family, your friends, but also in some ways just your larger community, the city you live in or the area you're from or where you may be working. Finally, an external motivator for all of us is that we want this career in a field that we enjoy, but we also want to be paid. So we're taking this on this task of earning a college degree so that we can earn more income to support ourselves and our families. So with internal motivation, external motivation, you're moving towards getting your degree, but the important part of this is that you have good time management so you can achieve these tasks and achieve your degree and fulfill those motivations. So one of the first things we suggest for starting your college semester is that you make a full semester schedule. A full semester schedule, which I'm going to show you in a second, allows you to put down everything on the schedule that's going to happen this semester. So what we're going to look at is a blank full semester schedule, something like this for this semester, fall of 2023. So here at the Learning Center at GCC, we produce one of these each semesters. It's not complicated. You could do it. It's each day of the week, so 7 columns by 15 rows, really about 16 rows for each week of the semester. So days of the week, weeks of the semester each week. We start with the first day of classes. We go on to the last day of classes. But along the way, there's some holidays, some days you have off, and there are some things you should know, like withdrawal periods or when Thanksgiving is, and then when is the last day of classes, and then when are finals. So again, you can usually pick this up at the Learning Center in room D209 on the main campus, or we also will have one of these attached to our Learning Center website, which you can get through your Brightspace page for each class. So what do we do with this schedule? So we take this schedule, we get out each syllabus from each of our classes, your syllabi, and we go through and we start putting in what assignments are due for each class. So here's a sample full semester for, let's say, an incoming freshman or first semester student. This student is taking English 101, college composition. They're taking an art class. They're taking Sociology 100, and then, because they're thinking of going on into perhaps the health professions, they're taking a biology class. So we think it's a good idea that the student take this schedule, take out each syllabus, go through, read through the syllabus, which you should be doing each semester, reading through each syllabus carefully, but finding the schedule in the syllabus that tells you when your major assignments, exams, quizzes are due. You do not have to put readings or videos to watch on this schedule, just your major assignments. So for example, this student has put English 101, essay draft due. Right in the second semester, they have a draft of an essay due. And then in the second week, they have an art 100 quiz. Third week of the semester, that essay that they did a draft the week before is now due, and they have a biology 104 exam. And as you can see, we start writing in things for each class. And what this schedule really helps with is seeing what days of the week your major assignments are due and what weeks are going to be your busy weeks or your not so busy weeks. So we can see, as an example, that the Sociology 100 professor has put the exams for Soc 100 on Mondays, and they're generally about every 2 weeks apart. So this keys into this student that he or she is going to have to do some studying of sociology on Sundays and maybe even Saturdays to prepare for these exams Monday morning. So this is going to start to set up our weekly schedule, which we'll show an example of in a minute. So similarly, on Tuesdays, there's not a lot. There is a lab exam for Bio 104 lab a few times every few weeks apart, but generally there's not a lot. If this student likes watching Monday Night Football, maybe they could watch Monday Night Football with a little study before and a little study after perhaps, but there's not a lot due on Tuesday, so that's a good idea to schedule. On Wednesdays, this student has most of their English essays for college composition due. So that means, hey, we all know probably the night before, you're going to want to do some work on writing those essays. We're going to schedule some other times throughout the week to work on those essays, but most of us would probably be doing some work Tuesday nights to finish up those assignments. So you can see that this allows you to see which nights or days of the week you're going to be doing your studying for which classes. However, this schedule also helps you see that certain weeks are busier than other weeks. So let's look at an example here. This student has a pretty busy week 4. So week 4, they have a sociology exam, they have a bio lab exam, and an Art 100 quiz. Now, when you see something like this, where you have 3 things due on the same week, you're going to want to go back to your syllabus and look and see what is the weight or worth of each of these assignments. So we know that there's 4 or 5 Sociology 100 exams. So they're probably worth about 20% each. And that's a pretty important part of your grade for the semester. You're going to want to be studying for that sociology exam on Friday, Saturday, Sunday before that exam. But the Art 100 quiz is only worth about 5% of the final grade. So it's not a major exam. It's just a quiz. I could probably get my studying due for that quiz on, say, Tuesday night or Wednesday night to be ready for that quiz. Similar, I would see in my syllabus that the Bio lab, my Bio 104 lab, is an in-class open book assignment in the lab. I don't have to put a lot of time into that because I think I'll be able to handle it if it's in class and open book. So again, this allows you to see what's a busy week or what's not. So for example, during this week, the student has a grammar quiz for English on Monday, and then really not much else major due that week. There may be writing assignments. There may be videos to watch for each of the classes. You have to still keep doing your studying and your homework, but there's not any major assignments or exams that week. And that might lead me to see that perhaps the weekend before, September 23rd, 22nd, 24th, I could spend some time doing things with family or friends, my community, that I want to do. And therefore, I could let them know, hey, I'm available that weekend to hang out, go to the movies, do some things together. But the next weekend, on the end of September, leading into the first week of October, which is midterms, I have a lot. I have a SOS exam, I have an essay due, I have a bio exam, and an art project due. This is a lot due. So this weekend, I'm probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to need that time. And that's where good time management comes in for a college student, is letting your community know I cannot be hanging out with you on the end of September because the first week of October is midterms and I've got a lot due. So the first semester class schedule. Again, you would do this in the first week of classes. You would sit down with your syllabi, mark all your test dates, mark all your test and essay times. You'll see your busy weeks. You're going to talk to your community about when you're going to be busy or not so busy. But also, if you work at a job, this schedule can really help you with communicating with your supervisor at work. These are the weeks when I need time off. I might need extra time off in that last week in September to get ready for midterms. I may need some time off in the first week of December to get ready for finals. Perhaps even the last week of November and the first week of September to get ready for finals. Make sure you're talking to your supervisor at work well ahead of time to ask for extra time off so that you're not hitting them at the last minute with these types of requests. When you see those major projects like the art project or the English essays, make sure you're giving yourself a good week to 5 days prior to that to work on those types of projects instead of seeing that it's due the night before and trying to get it all done the night before. One of the things that this large semester schedule helps with is that you're able to then say to your community, hey, look at this, it's 15 weeks. If you can be patient with me for 15 weeks, particularly if you have a family, then I'll be free on December 14th, well before the holidays, and I'll be able to do things together and participate in activities then. But during these 15 weeks, you have to really give me a little leeway. I may have to say no to some activities so that I can get this semester done and achieve those goals and that I set for myself for this semester. Okay, so a full semester schedule. Give me a second here, and we'll go to the weekly schedule. So we also suggest, along with that full semester schedule, is that you make some sort of weekly schedule. Now, a lot of students will have an online scheduler or a computer scheduler, or just a day book that shows them day by day what their tasks are or appointments are for that day. But this is a little different in that what we're asking you to do is to work on a weekly schedule that shows you your days of the week and then the hours for each day. So again, this is that sort of external motivation type tasks where some thing has been assigned to you to do at a specific time in a certain place. So for example, work or classes. So let's look at this example of a weekly schedule. The student, as we said, is taking English 101 on Mondays and Wednesdays. It's in the morning for about an hour and a half, and it's probably going to take from 9 till about 10:30. So we're going to block off those and put them in. I used colors here. I think it's helpful for me to see these in colors, but if you want to just keep your schedule in a pen, you might use a blue pen or a black pen, that's fine. I like doing the colors. They have then sociology on Monday and Wednesday right after English with a short break in between, but generally from about 11, and it's probably going to go till about 12:30. I put in a little section here to review because generally it's a good idea when you have 2 classes in a row to go back and review what happened in each class so that you're not jumbling the 2 up and confusing yourself with 2 sets of material. The student's then going to take lunch on Mondays and Wednesdays, get something to eat, and then I put in a little time for travel because they have to get to work. So you don't want to be late for work, you want to be there on time, so schedule your travel. Then we see that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, typical college schedule, they have bio 104, bio goes a little longer. It might take 2 hours. Because getting set up and then leaving class usually takes longer. You might want to stick around in bio a little bit after to talk to your instructor. It's a science class. And then we suggest that you have lunch, maybe a break, and then you stick around campus to review that bio, maybe form a study group, but review that material from that class right after the class. Any science course or any courses where you have to do a lot of memorization, where there's a lot to work on that you have to know for the exams, specific information for the exams, it's good to review right after class so that you're sort of pushing that information into your brain twice, 2 times, maybe even 3 times, going over and over and over again so it sticks with you. The student has bio lab on Tuesday afternoons, and that probably would go a little longer. Labs usually go 3 or 4 hours. And then their other class is an online art class on Thursday nights. So usually with an art class, there's some history to be studied, but there might be some projects to be done. We set up a little time before the class to prepare anything that might be needed to be ready for that class. So if you're at home taking this class, you might want to get your materials together and study some before the class. I put in, again, time for work. We put in some meals and we put in some travel. So basically with this schedule, what we're working on is that we're saying we start with classes and put the classes in the schedule. We put our work hours in the calendar. We know those. Then to plan some study time for each night and weekends. Generally, what you want to do is study for the next day classes. So Sunday night class, I would be studying English and sociology on Sunday night, probably doing some writing for the English class. But what I want to do is go back and look at that large full semester calendar and say, oh yeah, my sociology exams are all on Mondays, so I know on Sunday night I'm going to want to study sociology. But my English papers are due Wednesdays, so maybe I could do some work on those Sunday night, but I'm probably going to be doing most of my work Tuesday night. I have biology in the morning, Tuesday, Thursdays. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm going to really want to hammer the biology those nights. If you have a study group, try to get those on a set time on your schedule. Get your group to agree on a set time. If you have meetings with your instructors, try to make those at set times each week. The human brain likes consistency. It does not like chaos. When you're trying to learn something, it's better if you do it at the same time, at the same place each day. You don't have to be studying each day. Your work schedule may dictate that you can't study certain nights. Your family schedule may dictate that you can't study so much on Saturday and Sunday as you would like. But at least at each of those days, on Monday, I'm studying at the same time, 7 to 10. On Tuesdays, I'm studying at the same time, 6 to 9. Maybe Wednesdays, 3 to 5. But generally, each week, each day of the week, the same time, and try to be at the same place. It's good to plan your meals. Eating on the run is not really helpful. Eating when you drive, when you travel is not really helpful. So to plan a little time to sit down and eat your meals. And it's critical that you get consistent sleep each night. So if we go back to the little weekly schedule there, you'll notice that I went to about 11 and I put bedtime. Well, I put English a little bit on, that should probably be Tuesday night because I know my papers are due. So I should probably switch this one over to here. And then this one over to here so that I'm doing English a little bit on Tuesday nights because I know my papers due the next morning. I did go to 11:30, and you probably will, as a college student, end up going to 12. But don't fall for the old thing of college students have to pull all-nighters. All-nighters do not help. Your brain needs sleep to reinforce the information that you've received throughout the day. Sleep is when you process a lot of your information, and your memory really makes that information stick while you're sleeping. So getting good sleep is critical to succeeding in college. So I went back there a little bit. Other things like your worship times, fitness, watching TV, if you have a favorite show, if you want to go to the movies, great. You want to, again, with family or your community, spend some time with them. But as long as you're trying to make that also as consistent as you can so that it's set times throughout the week. And then things like review sessions and extra time for completing assignments, you may have to adjust these weekly schedules as you go along. So again, looking back at your large full semester, seeing when your busy weeks are and your not so busy weeks are, when do I have to set some review time for exams? I may have to add some time into my biology study schedule. I may have to add some time on another week into my English schedule because the paper is going to be a little longer. I have to write a 5-page paper instead of just a 3-page paper. I'll need more time for English. So we make adjustments to the weekly plan as we go through the semester, particularly as we get towards finals week. Okay, now how do we do our study schedule? We want a consistent study schedule for each time because your brain works best when it's presented in a consistent format. Same time, same place. So this is our example of what a nightly study schedule or afternoon study schedule might look like. You can make your own. You should do it by the way you know best to study, whether you like memorizing, whether your program of study calls for just a lot of reading, whether your program of study calls for physical activity. It might change how your study schedule works, but this is one we suggest. You sit down at your desk or your table, you do about 30 minutes of chapter study. So working through the chapter, and you can look for the Learning Center's workshop on textbook use and textbook reading to get tips on how to study each night. But we're saying about 30 minutes of sitting down, reading, studying, 10 minutes of reviewing your class notes on the material you just studied. So if you read a certain chapter in the book, you want to then go and look at your notes from class for about 10 minutes that relate to that chapter. Then you should do 10 minutes of self-quizzing, or if you have someone like a study group or a study partner who will work with you, having that person quiz you. But you should do about 10 minutes of perhaps looking away from the material and saying to yourself, do I understand what was just presented to me? Can I say it back without looking at the book? can I say back what I just learned? So 30 minutes study, 10 minutes review, 10 minutes of self-quizzing, and then maybe a 10-minute break. Go and get something to eat, something to drink, talk to somebody, walk around a little bit. It's not a good idea to watch TV or look at some other material, because what we're trying to do is clear our brain a little bit for the next hour. So about 10 minutes of break, and then start the next hour again. Using this pattern for 2, 3, 4 hours each night, knowing what I'm going to study. I'm going to do biology tonight. I'm going to do 30 minutes, 10 minutes review the notes from class, 10 minutes self-quizzing of the biology. Do I understand what I just worked on? And then 10-minute break. And again, biology. Maybe 2 hours of biology, and then an hour of art or English or one of your other classes. But so that your hour is structured, you're not just trying to read material for 3 hours. The human brain can't just sit down and read material for 3 hours and remember it all. On the weekends, you may need to add some hours. If you do, again, just try to make that consistent and use a pattern. Not just 4 hours of sitting and trying to read through the book, but 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, back to 30 minutes. Consistency is the key. Okay. So one of the things you want to do when you sit down to do studying like this is to think about how your best methods are for studying. Do you like memorization? What techniques did you use in high school or even last semester? And to repeat those techniques. There are different classes, for example, like STEM science classes or tech or math classes. Math requires a lot of problem solving and doing homework. English requires a lot of reading. You have to make your study schedule and make your hourly study schedule for how your material is being presented and then how you're going to be tested on it. So for example, English, you may be able to sit down and just read your book for an hour or 2 hours. That would be fine, as long as you do still take some time to say, do I understand what this novel or this story is presenting to me? For math, you might want to just do one set of math homework and then stop and ask yourself, do I understand this homework? Can I do these problems myself, before you move on to a different type of math or another set of formulas or problems that are slightly different. So, and then how can I best prepare? By setting myself review times throughout each week. Again, your study schedule for each week should have what you're studying, but as you get closer to exam time, midterms, or finals, you want to start setting some review time into your study schedule. Okay, I'm going to go back to self-care and sleep to just kind of emphasize this a little more. You know, you've got to plan time for rest, family, meals, exercise, sleep. It's critical. You don't want to be going off. You want to try to keep the same consistent schedule each week and really each day for 15 weeks. Staying up a little later in before midterms or before finals, well, maybe is okay, but since there's 16 weeks in the semester and there's work due each week, having a consistent schedule is much better than throwing your schedule off by staying up later and trying to get more work done on just one night. Nutrition is critical. If you can't eat healthy all the time, at least plan to improve your nutrition prior to exams. A lot of sugar right before exams is not helpful. Same thing with sleep deprivation. It doesn't help to stay up all night and then eat a lot of coffee and donuts the next morning for an exam. You end up crashing. So this is the Genesee Community College Learning Center's time management workshop. The main sort of point of this workshop is persistence and consistency. When you come up against some setbacks in your academic career, we hope you'll contact us at the Learning Center, room 5209. We can sit down and go over your time management workshop. Do you have a good schedule? Because sometimes getting a new time management schedule, a new weekly schedule, or even how you're studying day by day can help you overcome those academic setbacks. And sometimes even with personal setbacks, monetary or family, resetting your schedule can really help with managing those personal setbacks so you can get on towards your success in college throughout the semester. You know, the most important thing with time management is that you're continuing on towards your goal of earning this degree. College is an action. It takes action on your part, requires motivation, it requires commitment, and it requires good time management. We hope this was helpful, and you can see other workshops on the Learning Center homepage through your Brightspace page or your GCC homepage. Thanks. Have a good schedule, good time management. Bye-bye.